Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nash, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a 24-year-old woman. I am currently living here in South Africa, and this is my story on how I ended up selling my womb to the occultic world and how I joined the occultic kingdom, even though I never even thought that I'll end up becoming an occultic person. I used to see these things when I was growing up in Nigerian movies, and I honestly never believed that these things, they even existed at all. I grew up in a very poor family. My mom, she passed away when I was still very young, and then I started staying with my father's relatives who were not treating me nice because the grudge that was there between my late mother and my father's relatives was that there was a time when my father used to work in the city. When he was working in the city, he would make sure that he would give my mom some groceries and some money which she was supposed to share with the rest of the family. So my mom, she would give first preference to her own relatives instead of giving this preference to my father's relatives. So there was that hatred between the both of them. It then happened that when my mother passed away, I was now an orphan. My dad never cared about me. He started drinking his alcohol, married the first wife, the second wife. So I had no place in my father's home. I was always being mistreated. They saw me as a maid. I was trained to work very hard from a very young age, and no one even cared about me. On top of that, one of my stepmom, she had her own brother, so who was older than I was. What he used to do was that since I was no longer going to school anymore, when it will be me and him left alone, when my dad would have gone to do his work as well as my stepmoms would have gone to the fields, the other kids at school, he would then call me into his bedroom and close the door, and he would proceed to sleep with me. This was the man who turned me into a monster when he forced me to have an abortion after I had fallen pregnant for him. After I had fallen pregnant for him, he said that you cannot keep this baby, for this baby is a curse. I said, what am I supposed to do in this situation? He forced me to drink a lot of pain medication. After I had taken that medication, that was when I started to bleed. I was very young. I just thought that maybe I was on my period. Little did I know that this man, with all the medication that he had given me, he was forcing my body to remove the child that was growing inside of my womb. The pain that I felt on that night as I was alone, as he had threatened me with a knife when I told him that I was in pain. I just wanted to tell my father. He threatened me with a knife and he said, you see this knife? I can stick this knife into your stomach. I got so scared because this man, he used to fight a lot of villagers. He was always drunk whenever he was drunk, and people were scared of him. I just remained quiet, and then after the baby came out of me, I then took that little fetus, wrapped it inside of a newspaper, and I went and I dumped it into that toilet. And I cried. On that night, I think that was when the devil entered into my heart. Fast forward, I became a prostitute as I was working as well as a maid. So at the place where I was working, I told them that I did not want to become a stay-in maid. I just wanted to stay somewhere else. I did this because I wanted some space where I could do this prostitute business, and I was able to raise a lot of money. And then my friend told me that she did not want to be a prostitute anymore, for her sister had called her to South Africa. She said, if you want, we can go together. We arrived in South Africa and we then started working on this other farm. The job that we were doing there, it was quite hard. And at that farm, there was this other foreman. If you were new on the job, without sleeping with him, you could only work maybe 2 or 3 days a month. You had to sleep with him. He first slept with me and he slept with my friend, and then we started working permanently 10 days in 2 weeks. At least we were making a little bit of money. It then happened that there was this other woman who used to do my hair whenever I would go to town. She then told me that she had this other Nigerian guy. They were looking for a hard-working Zimbabwean woman because the woman that used to work for them, she had gone to Zim, so they had a restaurant close to the taxi rank. And I was happy because the money was a little bit better, and I was tired of forever working on the farm. I then started working for that Nigerian man, and this man, to tell you the truth, from the very first day when I started working for him, he told me that there were certain things that were supposed to be done in his restaurant. Whenever a person will come to buy pap, and then after that person would have eaten the pap, you had to take the plates at the back of the restaurant. So at the back of the restaurant, there was a little box. You had to place that plate before you would wash it inside that wooden box, and then you would leave it for about a minute, and you would take it and then you would go and wash it. One funny thing about what used to happen there, before I could understand that these were rituals that were taking place, we were not allowed to use water that was available at that restaurant. He would bring the water physically from where he was taking it from. He never wanted to tell me. It used to be so full at that restaurant that people would wait for someone to finish eating. Then the plate will be taken at the back, and then it will be brought back. When you want to wash it, the person will say, "My dear, do not even mind," especially the taxi drivers. They will say, "Just put some pap there so that I can eat." So with time, he started trusting me because there were other girls that were working that were South Africans. I was the only Zimbabwean woman who was there. And then he started to open up to me. The reason as to why he was opening up, it was because he had messed up some of the rituals. He was told that he was not supposed to sleep around, and he was a man who loved women, and women loved him because he had money. And the place where the restaurant was, for him, it was very difficult because it was very close to the taxi rank. So women used to come and tempt him, and he would just start dating these women. And then he messed up his rituals. He opened up to me, and he told me that he had done these rituals back in his country when he came to South Africa. And at that time, he came as a volunteer for this other church, and he saw that this was a land of opportunity, and he did not want to go back to his country, and he started a small business. That business did not go anywhere because of the money that he was owing. That was when he thought that it was a wise decision for him to do these rituals. He told me that the wooden box that was at the back of the restaurant, he said that, "You see the planks that we used to make that wooden box, we removed them from 2 coffins. He hired people to dig up the graves of the people that had been previously buried, removed the planks, and then he made that wooden box. So it was more like a coffin. It draws his customers in, and those customers to bring more people. That is why it was always full." I then said, "This story that you have told me, this is what I have been waiting for the rest of my life. Can you please help me?" Little did I know that this man, he had evil intentions towards me. This man then made me to join an occultic group, and I wanted to have a child in my life, but the rituals that they made me to perform, he was also fixing his mistakes using me. So he sold my soul first of all. On top of that, he made me to sell my womb without me even realizing that this is what was happening. I am worse than a barren woman. For a barren woman, she has hopes that one day God is going to open up a womb. As for me, I am worse than that because I lost my womb. That is my own confession. Life, I can say that when it comes to money, I do have money that I do not stress, but I do not live a comfortable life knowing that behind me there are spirits that guide me. There are spirits that give me money. Money just comes out of nowhere. It might sound as if it is a good thing because people say that money makes the world go around, but when it is not money that you have not worked hard for, it becomes very difficult to enjoy that money, for it has terms and conditions, and it has an expiry date. My day, one day will come when I will face these gods that give me money. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Everything, she said, has an expiry date.